Detroit has long been the center of the American auto industry, serving as the base for Ford, GM, and Chrysler, companies that contributed significantly to the American middle class. For more than a century, its factories have represented innovation and adaptability, enduring economic cycles and international competition. Currently, Detroit is experiencing challenges related to recent trade policies from Washington. The Trump administration's tariffs on steel, aluminum, and imported vehicles were introduced to support U.S. industry. These measures have increased costs for raw materials and parts within the auto sector. Automakers, who depend on global supply chains, are now facing increased financial pressure. Stellantis, the parent company of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, has paused all U.S. production. This action is a significant development for the industry. The combination of tariff-related financial strain and a complex market environment has created uncertainty for Detroit's future. The situation affects not only major automakers but also suppliers of all sizes, both domestic and international. The Stellantis production halt is a clear indicator of broader industry challenges. Detroit's big three automakers are now working to address the effects of protectionist policies in a changing market. The relationship between national policy and global economic realities is being closely examined. The outcome will influence both Detroit's legacy and the direction of American manufacturing. Stellantis's decision to halt U.S. production came after months of mounting losses from tariffs. Steel and aluminum costs surged, adding billions in unexpected expenses. The company couldn't absorb these costs or pass them to consumers without risking sales collapse. Major assembly plants in Michigan, Ohio, and Illinois have gone silent. Every day the lines are idle. Stellantis bleeds revenue. Tariffs on imported components have compounded the crisis. Modern vehicles rely on parts from around the globe. Untangling these supply chains or shifting them domestically would take years. The immediate result: tens of thousands of workers laid off, with ripple effects across logistics and parts suppliers. Stellantis calls this a temporary measure, but uncertainty looms. The companies gamble that the pain of a shutdown will force policymakers to reconsider tariffs. Meanwhile, one of America's largest automakers is at a standstill. The financial hemorrhaging is unsustainable. The entire sector is watching, knowing their own futures may depend on what happens next. The shutdown is a warning shot to Washington and the world. The stakes for Detroit and the U.S. economy have never been higher. Stellantis isn't alone. GM and Ford are also reeling from tariff-driven cost spikes. Both have reported billions in lost profits and have slashed production of less profitable models. GM is closing plants and focusing on high-margin trucks and SUVs, but even these are squeezed by rising input costs. Ford's restructuring includes deep workforce cuts and a pivot to trucks and commercial vehicles. Even icons like the F-150 are hit, as imported aluminum prices soar. Both companies are investing in electric vehicles, but tariffs drain capital needed for innovation. For now, they're walking a tightrope, cutting costs, shifting focus, and hoping to avoid Stellantis's fate. If the policy environment doesn't change, more drastic measures may be inevitable. The North American auto industry is a tightly woven web spanning the US, Canada, and Mexico. Tariffs have shattered this system, disrupting the just-in-time supply chains built over decades. Parts suppliers, large and small, are among the hardest hit, facing higher costs and sudden loss of business as automakers halt production. Communities in Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, northern Mexico, and Ontario are reeling from plant closures and layoffs. The shutdown of a single assembly plant triggers a chain reaction. Suppliers, truckers, and local businesses all suffer. The interconnectedness that once fueled efficiency now spreads economic pain. Companies must choose, absorb costs, pass them on, or consider expensive, slow relocation. Some may try to move production back to the US, but it's a complex, costly process. The stability and predictability of the supply chain are gone. Investment and planning are nearly impossible in this climate of uncertainty. The system is breaking down. U.S. tariffs sparked swift retaliation from the EU, Canada, Mexico, and China, escalating a global trade war. American-made vehicles became more expensive abroad, slashing export sales just as domestic costs soared. Canada and Mexico, key partners in the auto supply chain, imposed their own tariffs, fracturing decades of cooperation. Automakers built for free trade now face logistical and financial nightmares. International alliances are shifting, Europe and Asia are forging new trade deals, leaving the US isolated. Foreign automakers with US factories, like Toyota and BMW, are also hit by higher costs and retaliatory tariffs. Many have publicly criticized US policy, warning it harms American jobs and competitiveness. The global consensus: the tariff war is damaging the auto industry and isolating the US economy. The backlash is real, and the consequences are mounting. The industry's global position is at risk. The US is seen as an unpredictable partner, prompting others to diversify away. The cycle of retaliation is hurting everyone. The stakes are global, not just local. Behind the headlines, the human cost is staggering. Tens of thousands of auto workers are furloughed, facing lost income and an uncertain future. The shutdown ripples through entire communities. Restaurants, shops, and service providers all feel the impact. Local economies built around auto plants are in crisis. Social safety nets are strained as unemployment claims surge, and food banks brace for demand. The pride of building American cars is replaced by anxiety and fear. Unions like the UAW are fighting for their members, but leverage is limited when factories go dark. Negotiations with Stellantis and pleas to Washington intensify, but solutions are elusive. The workers bear the brunt of this economic conflict. Their lives and futures hang in the balance. Automakers are scrambling to adapt. Stellantis' shutdown is a drastic move to conserve cash and rethink its US strategy. GM and Ford are accelerating their shift to electric vehicles, hoping to design around tariff costs and win political goodwill. Cost-cutting is relentless. Fewer vehicle platforms, plant closures, and layoffs are the new normal. Lobbying in Washington is now as critical as engineering in Detroit. The industry pleads for smarter trade policy, warning that current tariffs do more harm than good. The future may depend as much on political negotiations as on new products. Automakers are fighting for survival on multiple fronts. The stakes: the future of American manufacturing. Even in crisis, automakers are betting on new models to revive sales. Stellantis' next-gen Jeep and Ram launches are on hold, their success crucial for recovery. Ford's Mustang Mach-E and F-150 Lightning and GM's Cadillac Lyriq and Hummer EV are bright spots, if they can overcome supply chain and tariff hurdles. Electric vehicles offer hope but still depend on global parts. Inflation and job fears may dampen demand, even for the most exciting cars. Automakers are racing against time, launching new products into a volatile market. The ability of these vehicles to reignite demand will test Detroit's resilience. Innovation is essential, but so is economic stability. The American auto industry stands at a crossroads. Tariffs and the Stellantis shutdown have exposed deep vulnerabilities in a globalized sector. One path: reshoring production, making cars more American, but also more expensive and less competitive. Another: political pressure forces a policy reversal, offering relief and a return to normalcy. Either way, the industry is changing: leaner, more electric, and more agile. Survival will require innovation and resilience. Detroit has overcome crises before, but this is a defining moment. The choices made now will shape American manufacturing for generations. The legacy of Detroit is on the line. The world is watching to see if it can rise again.